What if the creaky floorboards of your childhood home hid a door to a void, where lost souls whisper your name, begging for release, and the family secret buried there has claimed lives across generations, turning guardians into prisoners of their own bloodline? Imagine returning to the house where you grew up, a place of cold stares and unspoken rules, only to find a portal that defies reality itself, waiting to swallow you whole. This is Robert's story, a man in his 40s who thought he'd left his past behind, only to discover it lurking in the basement, ready to drag him into an abyss. Robert's mother passed away in January 2025 at 68, slipping away quietly in her sleep, leaving no farewell. Their relationship was a fractured thing, built on years of emotional distance and a 20-year estrangement. She wasn't warm, her love as sparse as the furniture in their old clapboard house in a crumbling Midwestern town. When the lawyer called about the inheritance, Robert was stunned to learn the house was his, the only asset in her meager estate. No siblings, no other kin to fight over it. He had no intention of living there, but selling it seemed a practical way to close that chapter. The house stood in a neglected neighborhood, its 2 stories sagging under a century of wear. Peeling paint flaked off like dead skin, and the foundation cracked where ancient oak roots pushed through. Robert arrived on a chilly October afternoon in 2025, keys jingling, his pickup loaded with boxes for anything worth keeping. The air smelled of damp leaves and coming rain as he unlocked the door, its creak stirring memories that made his skin prickle. Inside, time had frozen. The living room held the same threadbare sofa, its floral pattern faded to ghosts, and a coffee table scarred from years of neglect. Dust danced in slanted sunlight through yellowed curtains, the air thick with the musty scent of old paper and loneliness. The kitchen was bare, a few cans in the pantry, a modern microwave clashing with a vintage stove. Upstairs, his childhood bedroom was untouched, posters of 80s rock bands curling at the edges. His mother's room was sterile, a Bible on the nightstand, prescription bottles for ailments he never knew about. But the basement called to him, a forbidden zone from childhood where spiders ruled and shadows loomed under a single bulb. Descending the groaning wooden stairs, Robert flicked on the light, revealing a dank, stone-walled space. The concrete floor was uneven, cold, the washer and dryer humming softly, relics from the 90s. Shelves held rusted tools, cleaning supplies, and forgotten Christmas decorations that never saw much joy. His eyes caught a faded mural on one wall, a 1950s sock hop scene with smiling teens, peeling at the bottom like a secret unraveling. Curiosity tugged him closer, his fingers brushing the curled edge. Beneath wasn't stone but weathered wood, reinforced with iron bands like a medieval dungeon door. A heavy padlock secured it, rusted but sturdy, and stapled to it was a manila envelope in his mother's shaky handwriting. To Robert. Below, in bold capitals, "For the love of God, never open this door." His heart pounded, a mix of intrigue and dread. What could be so dangerous? Heirlooms, a scandal, a literal skeleton. His mind spun through possibilities, each darker than the last. Rummaging through the tools, he found bolt cutters, their jaws snapping the lock with a crack that echoed like a gunshot. The envelope's warning screamed in his head, but curiosity won. He gripped the iron pull ring and yanked. The door swung open on silent hinges, revealing nothing. Pure blackness, a void that devoured his flashlight's beam like a black hole. The air turned icy, a draft whispering out like a tomb's breath. Then a voice, soft, familiar, desperate. Robert. His mother's voice, impossible yet unmistakable. "Please, Robert, help me. It's so cold here. Come in, son. Just step inside and pull me out." His blood froze. She was dead, buried. This couldn't be her. Yet the plea stirred guilt from years of absence. He leaned closer, peering into the abyss, when the whisper turned commanding. "Robert, come." Terror surged. This wasn't his mother. It was something mimicking her, luring him like a predator. He slammed the door, hands shaking, jamming a screwdriver through the hasp to lock it. Grabbing the envelope, he bolted upstairs, out the door, into his truck, driving to a gas station where he collapsed in the bathroom, vomiting from panic. Hours later, in his apartment 2 states away, Robert opened the envelope. Handwritten pages, dated from his birth year in 1980, spilled his mother's confession. She wrote of her childhood in that house, how at 8, she and her 10-year-old brother Tommy played hide-and-seek in the basement. Tommy found the door, hidden behind canned goods. Their father, a factory worker with a temper like steel, investigated, his face draining as he peered inside. He nailed it shut, forbidding them to speak of it, but Tommy couldn't resist. That night, he pried it open, vanishing into the dark for hours. Morning found him catatonic on the floor, hair white, eyes bulging, staring at the open door. He didn't speak for days, then whispered of a voice like Captain Kangaroo, inviting him to a place where light died and time stretched forever. He saw shapes in the dark, watching, hungry. Institutionalized for a year, Tommy was never the same. At 12, he hanged himself in the basement, leaving a note. "It's still calling me. I have to go back." Their parents begged her to keep the house, guard the door, a secret from the 1800s, perhaps an occult ritual or a tear in reality. She married, had Robert, but the burden made her distant, protective in cruel ways. She hid it to spare him, but now it was his. Sell, and innocence might open it, unleashing whatever lurked. Robert sat, pages trembling, realizing his life had changed. He couldn't sell. He had to return, seal it forever. But the whispers haunted his dreams, promising reunion in the void's cold embrace. Weeks later, he drove back, tools ready to board it up. The screwdriver was gone, the door ajar, blackness beckoning. "Robert, come home." He stepped closer, flashlight failing, the chill wrapping him like arms. Was Tommy there? His mother? The door creaked wider, the family curse pulling. He nailed boards across, but knew it was temporary. The secret lived, hungry, waiting for the next guardian to falter. Robert left, but part of him stayed, tethered to the darkness that changed everything. If this story's chilling you, hit subscribe now. It's free, and there's no excuse to let these truths stay buried. Stay with me as we dig deeper. The house stood silent, but whispers echoed, waiting. Robert tried to move on, renting an apartment, avoiding the town. But dreams dragged him back, the voice clearer each night, not just his mother's now, but Tommy's, his father's, others he didn't recognize, a chorus of pleas and laughter. He researched the house's history, finding newspaper clippings from 1890 about a cult that owned the land, performing rituals to summon entities beyond comprehension. The door, they wrote, was a gateway, sealed by a preacher who vanished after blessing it. Robert's great-grandfather bought the house cheap, unaware, passing the curse down. He contacted a paranormal investigator who refused to enter, citing a bad feeling. Robert considered burning the house but feared releasing whatever waited. He reinforced the door with steel, but scratches appeared inside, as if something clawed to get out. Neighbors reported lights flickering, shadows moving. Robert's sanity frayed, his job suffered, his life narrowing to the door's pull. He stood guard, a prisoner of his bloodline, knowing one day he might step through, joining the lost. The secret changed everything, a family curse that wouldn't let go. And remember, subscribe, because if you don't, you're letting these stories fade into shadow.
What if the dream home you bought at a steel hid, a secret cellar rigged with chains and cameras, whispering of a family's descent into unspeakable acts, making you wonder if the walls still hold the screams of those who never escaped? This is the bone-chilling tale of Alex Day, 32-year-old software engineer who thought he'd scored a bargain, only to uncover a house built on depravity that turned his fresh start into a living nightmare. In March 2024, Alex, reeling from a bitter divorce, found a 3-bedroom colonial in a sleepy suburban neighborhood outside Denver, listed at 40% below market value. The seller, a gaunt man named Victor, was desperate to relocate to Southeast Asia, muttering about a new life. Alex, eager to rebuild, saw the house as a blank slate, its wraparound porch and ivy-covered facade promising charm. The closing was hasty, Victor avoiding eye contact, leaving behind furniture but oddly burning 3 mattresses in the backyard the day before handover, the acrid smoke lingering like a bad omen. Alex moved in on a crisp April morning, his pickup stacked with boxes, the scent of fresh paint masking a faint mustiness. The first weeks were hopeful, painting walls, arranging furniture, making the space his own. But the house had quirks that nagged at him. The basement, accessed through a heavy steel door, was a workshop straight out of a horror flick. Chains bolted to the floor, padlocks scattered like forgotten promises, and car battery terminals that could power a vehicle or something far darker. Alex chalked it up to a tinkerer's obsession. Maybe Victor was into restoring old cars. Then the mail started arriving, bills from an internet provider addressed to Victor, referencing massive bandwidth usage for obscure websites. Curiosity drove Alex to dig online, and what he found made his stomach churn. Victor operated dark web platforms, not just shady but depraved, catering to tastes that thrived in the shadows of legality, sites where the desperate and depraved paid for live streams of unthinkable acts. The realization hit like a punch. This house wasn't just a home, it was a stage for horrors. Alex's unease grew, but the real terror waited in the attic. One sleepless night, pacing the master bedroom, he noticed a small access panel in the ceiling, barely visible behind a new coat of paint. Heart pounding, he dragged a ladder from the garage and climbed into a crawl space that was in T on the floor plans. The space was no storage. It was a finished 5 by 10-foot chamber, insulated with electrical outlets, a flickering fluorescent light, and an intercom system wired directly to the basement workshop. Vents suggested air circulation for long-term use, and the wooden walls bore scratches, deep and frantic, as if someone had clawed for freedom. No mattress, but the space was sized for one, perhaps one of those Victor burned. Alex's mind raced. Was this a safe room, a studio, or a prison? The bedroom below had heavy locks on the inside, unusual for a family home. Closets connected rooms without barriers, perfect for slipping through unseen, like a predator stalking prey. A rectangular cutout in the wall, the size of a dinner tray, aligned with the attic chamber, ideal for passing food or something far worse. Alex's knees buckled as he imagined what this setup meant, a hidden cell for captives. Victims of Victor's dark web empire, filmed for profit in a soundproofed cage. He called the police, heart hammering, but without concrete evidence. They took a report. suggested changing the locks, and left him alone with his fear. Alex couldn't let it go. He hacked into the house's old Wi-Fi network named Shadownet and found cached files thumbnails of videos too horrific to describe. Shadows moving in dim light, muffled cries echoing through the intercom. One clip showed the attic chamber, a figure curled in the corner, Victor's voice cooing, promising release that never came. This was no theory. The house was a torture chamber, a secret kept by Victor's family who'd lived here for decades. Alex stopped sleeping, hearing phantom scratches at night, imagining the ghosts of those trapped above. He installed security cameras, but the footage was clean until one night. A shadow darted across the lens, a faint whisper through the vents. "Get me out." Was it his mind, frayed by fear, or something lingering, trapped in the walls? Show you're not turning a blind eye to these horrors. Subscribe now. Because staying silent means letting these secrets fester in the dark. How many of us will stand up and seek the truth together? Hit that button. It's your first step to exposing what's hidden. Alex dug deeper, finding a USB drive buried in the backyard under a rosebush. Its files encrypted but labeled with names, dates, and payments for performers who matched missing persons reports from 2022 and 2023. One name, Emily Carter, a 20-year-old last seen near Denver, sent chills down his spine. Her case was still open, her family pleading online for leads. Alex sent the drive anonymously to the authorities, but Victor was gone, untouchable in Thailand. Emails to Victor's old address brought threats, dig deeper and you'll join them. Alex sold the house at a loss, the buyer a shady investor who didn't flinch at the history. Driving by months later, Alex saw lights in the attic, a silhouette moving. Was it still active? He moved to a new city, but nightmares followed faces in the dark, hands clawing at wood. The house stood like a predator, its secrets intact, waiting for new occupants. Alex's life, once full of promise, was now a vigil, haunted by the seller's silent screams. He joined online forums, connecting with others who'd lived in Victor's properties, each with similar stories. Hidden rooms, strange wiring, disappearances nearby. The pattern was undeniable, a family legacy of exploitation passed down through generations, hidden in plain sight. Alex's new apartment felt safer, but he checked ceilings compulsively, fearing another panel, another secret. The truth he found changed everything, turning a home into a tomb of horrors, whispering that some doors should never be opened. If this story's shaking you, click subscribe, it's free, and there's no excuse to let these truths stay buried. Stay with me. Alex tried to move on, but the house's shadow lingered. He saw a therapist who called it trauma, but the whispers felt real, echoing in quiet moments. He donated to missing persons charities, hoping to atone, but guilt gnawed had he freed anyone, or just passed the curse to the next owner. The house was renovated, resold, but Alex knew its secrets lived on, a family legacy of cruelty that no paint could cover. Every creak in his new home sent his heart racing, every shadow a reminder of what he'd uncovered. The truth had changed him from hopeful to haunted, forever tethered to the cellar's silent screams. And remember, subscribe, because if you don't, you're letting these stories fade into shadow.
What if the perfect family home you toured was a maze built not for living but for hiding? Its secret passages and locked exits pointing to a family's role in vanishing lives, leaving you haunted by the fear that someone's still trapped inside. This is Sarah's unsettling journey. A 34-year-old real estate enthusiast whose search for a forever home uncovered a house designed for horror. In February 2024, Sarah, her husband Mike, and their 2 young kids were house hunting in an upscale development near Raleigh, North Carolina. One listing caught her eye. A sprawling ranch-style home with a fully fenced yard and a towering flagpole waving an American flag like a proud beacon. The price was a steal, the photos warm and inviting, showing hardwood floors and a modern kitchen. But stepping inside, the air felt wrong, heavy with an unspoken tension. The layout was bizarre, a labyrinth of bedrooms clustered at odd angles, closets connecting without doors, allowing someone to slip from room to room unseen. Sarah laughed it off, saying it'd be great for hide-and-seek, but Mike's brow furrowed at the heavy-duty locks on every exterior door, keyed on both sides, as if to keep something in as much as out. The realtor, Linda, a bubbly woman in her 50s, dismissed it as security upgrades for a paranoid previous owner. Then they reached the back of the house, a small room tucked away, 5 by 10 feet, windowless, with a padlocked door leading to the backyard, concealed by overgrown shrubs. Inside, the walls were bare, a single bulb dangled from the ceiling, and hooks lined the walls, perfect for hanging lights, or maybe chains. A rectangular cutout, the size of a serving tray aligned with the kitchen wall, ideal for sliding meals without ever opening the door. Sarah's stomach twisted. This wasn't a guest room or storage. It was a cell, designed for isolation. Linda leaned in, voice low, and shared her suspicion. Human trafficking. The fenced yard to prevent escapes, the flagpole perhaps a signal to buyers in a shadowy trade. Sarah's mind painted a grim picture. Victims smuggled through the back door under cover of night, locked in this room, their cries swallowed by soundproofed walls. The connected closets were for handlers to monitor without being seen, the locks to ensure no one escaped. Sarah's heart raced as she imagined the lives that might have passed through, their stories buried in this suburban facade. They left without making an offer, but the house clung to Sarah's thoughts like damp rot. She couldn't shake the image of that room, those hooks, the tray slot. At home, she dove into research, uncovering the previous owners, the Thompsons, a family who, Dee lived there for 20 years, before abruptly moving to Canada in late 2023. The father, Gregory Thompson, ran an import-export business, a perfect cover for smuggling, Sarah thought. Online, she found news articles from 2022 and 2023 about disappearances in the Raleigh area, runaways, hitchhikers, young women who vanished without a trace. One case stood out, a 16-year-old named Kayla, last seen hitchhiking 2 miles from the development. Her family's pleas filled local forums, but no leads ever surfaced. Sarah reported her suspicions anonymously to the police, but without hard evidence, they could only log the tip. The house sold quickly to a faceless corporation, and Sarah's unease grew. Driving by 3 months later, she saw lights flickering in that small room, a shadow moving behind the blinds. Was someone still there, trapped? Prove you're not ignoring these hidden horrors. Subscribe now, because turning away means letting these secrets stay locked in the dark. How many of us will fight to bring the truth to light? Hit that button. It's your first step to uncovering what's hidden. Sarah's obsession deepened, straining her marriage as Mike begged her to let it go. She joined online groups, connecting with families of the missing, piecing together a pattern. Gregory's business had ties to shell companies linked to dark web marketplaces, and a 2022 sting operation in Raleigh had busted a trafficking ring. though Gregory slipped through. The house's design matched others in trafficking cases. Hidden entries, soundproofed rooms, escape-proof yards. Sarah posed as a buyer to revisit the house, but the new owner, a curt man in a suit, blocked her at the gate, his eyes cold as steel. Back home, she installed cameras, fearing retaliation. One night, her phone buzzed with an anonymous text, "Stop digging, or you're next." Sleep became impossible. Her dreams filled with pounding on walls, voices pleading through vents. Sarah moved her family to a new town, but the house's shadow followed. She found a blog post from a former neighbor, claiming strange deliveries arrived at the Thompsons at odd hours, men in vans who never spoke. Another neighbor swore they heard muffled cries, dismissed as a TV. Sarah shared her findings online, hoping to spark action, but the house stood untouched, its new owners seemingly unbothered. Every night she checked her locks, her kids' rooms, haunted by the thought that the house was still active, a silent predator in a perfect neighborhood. The truth she'd uncovered changed everything, turning her view of suburbia into a landscape of hidden horrors, where manicured lawns masked monsters. If this story's gripping you, click subscribe. It's free, and there's no excuse to let these truths stay buried. Stay with me. Sarah tried therapy, but the fear lingered, a constant hum in her mind. She donated to anti-trafficking organizations, hoping to make a difference, but guilt gnawed. Had she done enough? The house was renovated, resold, but Sarah knew its secrets lived on, a family legacy of disappearance woven into its walls. Every shadow in her new home felt like a threat, every noise a reminder of what she'd seen. The truth had changed her, from a dreamer to a sentinel, forever marked by the house designed for disappearance. And remember, subscribe, because if you don't, you're letting these stories fade into shadow. What if tearing down the walls of your dream home revealed not heirlooms, but trophies of infidelity, a secret cache of intimate keepsakes exposing a spouse's double life, shattering your family, and leaving you to rebuild from the ashes of trust? This is John's gut-wrenching story, a 41-year-old contractor whose home renovation uncovered a betrayal that turned his sanctuary into a house of lies. In September 2024, John and his wife Lisa, married for 12 years, decided to remodel their master bedroom in their century-old Victorian home in Portland, Oregon, a fixer-upper they'd bought in 2019. The house was their pride, its gabled roof and stained glass windows a testament to their shared dream. The renovation was a big project, gutting the room to the studs, modernizing it with new wiring and insulation. As walls came down, dust swirled, exposing quirks of the old house, knob and tube wiring, newspapers from 1922 stuffed as insulation, headlines about prohibition and jazz. John loved the history, but one discovery stopped him cold. Tucked in a corner of the bedroom was a small locked cabinet, 1 foot by 1 foot, built into the wall like a safe. It wasn't on the blueprints, and Lisa claimed no knowledge of it. John, half joking about finding cash or contraband, grabbed a crowbar and pried it open. The cabinet was empty, a dusty void, but the act of opening it felt like crossing a line. He continued the demo, tearing out drywall, but stepped out for lunch at a nearby deli. When he returned, his world shattered. On the bed, neatly arranged, lay 5 pairs of thong panties, lace and satin, sizes and styles Lisa never wore. His heart sank. These weren't relics from previous owners. John and Lisa were the first to live here since purchase, every inch scrubbed clean when they moved in. His hands trembled as he held one up, the fabric foreign, a stranger's intimacy. Lisa came home, her face paling at the sight. Tears spilled before John could speak, and the confession poured out. Affairs with 3 men over 2 years, the panties keepsakes from her lovers, hidden in the cabinet as a twisted trophy case. She'd used the locked nook to store her secrets, thinking John would never find it during their renovation. The family they'd built, 2 kids, a dog, a life of soccer games and Sunday dinners, crumbled in that moment. John's trust, the foundation of their marriage, was gone, replaced by a hollow ache. He demanded details, each word a knife, a co-worker, a gym trainer, a neighbor. The cabinet wasn't just a hiding spot. It was a shrine to her betrayal, locked away in their shared space. John kicked her out, the kids staying with her parents while divorce papers were drawn. He kept the house, unable to let go of the dream, but every creak mocked him, every shadow a reminder of her lies. He sealed the cabinet with wood and nails, but the damage was done. The truth he found changed everything, turning love into loneliness, a home into a mausoleum of broken vows. Show you're standing against the pain of hidden betrayals. Subscribe now, because ignoring these truths means letting them fester in silence. How many of us will face the reality together? Hit that button. It's your first step to uncovering what's hidden. John's life unraveled further as he scoured the house for more secrets. In a vent, he found a burner phone, texts detailing Lisa's meetups, times when John was at work, the kids at school. One lover, the neighbor, admitted to a 6-month affair, claiming Lisa pursued him. John confronted him, fists clenched, but walked away, the fight drained out of him. The house, once a haven, felt tainted, every room a potential hiding spot. He found a journal Lisa left behind, tucked in a closet, its pages filled with her guilt, but also her thrill, the cabinet her confessional where she locked away her shame. John burned it in the backyard, the flames doing nothing to cleanse the hurt. Neighbors whispered, their pity stinging more than their gossip. He finished the renovation alone, each hammer strike a futile attempt to rebuild himself. The kids visited, but their questions, why did Mom leave, cut deeper than the betrayal. John moved to a condo in early 2025, unable to sleep in the house without hearing phantom footsteps, imagining Lisa sneaking to her secret nook. Dreams brought him back, the cabinet open, panties spilling out like accusations. Online, he found stories of others discovering spousal secrets, hidden letters, photos, worse. But none eased his pain. The house sold, but John learned the new owners tore out the cabinet, finding a 6th pair of panties he'd missed, a final twist of the knife. The secret wasn't just Lisa's. It was his blindness, his trust betrayed, a family legacy of love turned to ash. If this betrayal's hitting you hard, click subscribe. It's free, and there's no excuse to let these truths stay buried. Stay with me. John tried therapy, but the ache lingered, a constant weight. He rebuilt his life, focusing on his kids, but checked every new space for hidden compartments, fearing more secrets. The house's new owners invited him once, showing the remodeled bedroom, but John saw only the ghost of the cabinet, its outline faint on the wall. The truth had changed him, from a dreamer to a skeptic, forever marked by the trophies of betrayal that shattered his world. And remember, subscribe, because if you don't, you're letting these stories fade into shadow. Thanks for seeking the truth with us.